First with news in the Northwest, King 5, Seattle.
This is King 5 News for Sunday, April 26th, reported by Julie Blacklow, with Elaine Perkins and Jeff Renner.
Good evening. The legislature is still conducting business at this hour, but the lawmakers have only 60 minutes left before they must adjourn the session by law. And they will apparently end the session on schedule. Doug Reeves is standing by live and has this report from Olympia. Doug?
There is less than an hour to go in the regular session of the legislature, and it does look as if it will finish on time. Earlier this evening, there was some doubt. For about an hour around dinner time, both the House and the Senate bogged down in procedural fights. Then they got going again. In the last hour, several major bills have passed, mostly tax bills. A 4-cent pack increase in the cigarette tax, and a variable gas tax, which could go as high as 16 cents a gallon in the next 2 years. One of Governor Spellman's requests, a modified sales tax deferral for new business, also passed. This is a measure which Fairchild Camera Company wants in order to build a new plant in Puyallup. The legislature also approved a new death penalty, which will clear up constitutional problems in the current law, as well as make it easier for prosecutors to seek the death sentence. The staff of both the House and the Senate had a hard time keeping up with the bills as they flew back and forth between the chambers. Periodically, work would stop on the floor while the staff caught up. In the last few hours, the mood at the Capitol has become more festive. People are beginning to relax as the end moves into sight. The legislature is supposed to stop at midnight, but it won't really. The procedure to shut the place down takes about 3 hours. It's a complicated protocol, including sending committees back and forth between the houses for notification, signing the last bills, and a committee to notify the governor. In past years, it's been thought that that can be done after midnight without violating the law, so it will be closer to 3 o'clock in the morning before the last rap of the gavel.
Doug, one quick question. What is left to do down there? Are they literally still working on bills?
They are. The one thing that is sort of left hanging is a bill to let the Washington Public Power Supply System negotiate its bond sales to finance the 5 nuclear power plants it's building. That is tied into a study bill. In the last hour, the lobbyists for the supply system have still been working to take the study to see if the last 2 power plants are economically feasible. It's late at night down here. And to take that out of the negotiated bond sales. Whether he's going to make it, I don't know. He's got, what, now, 50 minutes left to do it? Julie?
Thank you, Doug. We'll have a look at some of the weekend's international news when we come back.
I'm Zsa Zsa Gabor's plumber. I stop the drips in her house with a Delta washerless faucet.
Stop the drips at your house with Delta, the faucet of the stars.
Bob Adams, it's 10 p.m. Is your antiperspirant still working?
Yeah. My antiperspirant's new Old Spice salad keeps me drier than the leading aerosols for over 24 hours.
Bob Adams, it's midnight. Is your antiperspirant still working?
I told you, it's new Old Spice salad. It's made to keep me drier.
Bob Adams, it's 2 a.m. Is your antiperspirant still working?
I told you it's new Old Spice salad.
When things are going to pieces all around you, depend on you depend. This oil would stop ordinary glue, but not depend. It's a new kind of adhesive. Depend can fix almost anything, once and for all. New Duro Depend. Depend on it to work.
Available at these stores.
According to a report out of New York tonight, the FBI apparently has evidence that 6 members of the National Guard in El Salvador were involved in the murders last December of 3 American nuns and 1 lay worker. NBC's Phil Brennan has more on the story.
This man is a member of one of El Salvador's wealthiest families. He is accused in the murder of 3 men, 2 of them Americans, who helped take away some of that wealth and power. The victims all were involved in the Salvadoran government program to break up large landholdings and turn them over to peasants. Mark Perlman and Michael Hammer were slain last January in a hotel restaurant, along with the top Salvadoran land reform official. The family of Ricardo Sol Mesa owns part of that hotel. A waitress there says Sol Mesa and his brother-in-law followed the three victims and pointed them out to two gunmen who did the killing. Sol Mesa denies any involvement. The brother-in-law, Hans Christ, also says he is innocent. Christ was arrested in Miami. The government here wants him returned to El Salvador for trial. The murder of 4 other Americans, church women killed last December, remains unsolved. But this weekend, El Salvador's defense minister promised all the facts will come out.
Yes, I expect it to be resolved. That's how I wish, for the good of this country.
It has always been suspected that government security forces were involved in the missionary murders. Because of cases like that, public opinion in the United States seems to be running strongly against American aid to the Duarte government. Officials in both countries believe solving those cases is vital if Washington's support is to continue. Phil Bremen, NBC News, San Salvador.
Fighting continued today in Lebanon as Israeli warplanes attacked Palestinian guerrilla camps in the south. At least 12 people are reported killed in those air raids. And the tension spread north to Beirut, where fighting between Syrian troops and Christian militiamen kept the airport closed there for the 6th straight day. Police in Belfast say that city is having its quietest night in a week, but earlier today, violence broke out as thousands gathered to rally for jailed Irish Republican Army guerrilla Bobby Sands. He is near death from a hunger strike, and NBC's Fred Francis has more on that story.
Their hero is dying of starvation, and today thousands upon thousands of Belfast Catholics marched in support of hunger striker Bobby Sands. Sands, a 27-year-old commander in the Provisional IRA, is in the 57th day of his fast. A rumor swept through the ranks of the marchers today that Sands almost died in hospital hours before the march. But an IRA leader said Sands may live as long as another week. Whatever his condition, the Provisional IRA is making the most of his last days. Some of the mothers of the hundreds imprisoned with Sands said they were proud their sons knew him. Mary Murtaugh said her 26-year-old boy Jordy was a friend of Sands. She beamed when she told that her Jordy was in jail for 20 years for bombing and shooting. She said if Jordy could die the way Sands is dying, she would be very happy. That is the mentality that is blossoming around the impending martyrdom of Bobby Sands. There was some rock and bottle throwing after the march, but nothing approaching the violence of last week. The IRA warned its sympathizers that right now, at least, nothing should be done to draw attention away from the slow death of Sands. Fred Francis, NBC News, Belfast.
Residents of Westmoreland, California are surveying damage caused this morning by an earthquake in that area. The quake was centered in Westmoreland, but was felt throughout Southern California. It registered 5.6 on the Richter scale, caused some damage there and downed some power lines. There are no reports of injuries. Elaine will be here in a minute with sports.